All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very good afternoon. Before we start this whole session, before I start introducing myself, telling you about what I do, how many of you all here are school leavers? Can you all raise your hands up? School leavers, university grads, raise your hands up. It's okay. It's okay. This is an interactive session. No need to be shy. How many of you all here are entrepreneurs? Anyone here who's running a company, who is starting a company, who wants to start a company? Come on, guys, raise your hands up. All right, lovely, lovely. So now, before I go on with this session, the panel discussion we're about to have right now is basically for everyone here to understand and acknowledge what it takes to be an entrepreneur during this time and day from various sectors, from various top founders that we'll be interviewing. But before that, before we move on to that whole panel discussion, I want to give you all a small introduction about myself. My name is Mohammed Talal Marika. I'm the founder of Movement to the Millions and The Alchemist, where we help entrepreneurs island-wide to understand how to make it, where to look at, and how to deal with bad moments and obstacles in your life as a business owner. Now, as quiet as this room is, I understand there are a lot of people who are either intimidated of public forums or shy. I encourage all of you all to raise your hands and ask questions from the panelists when needed. This is the one chance for you all to get your questions answered. So don't let your nervous system take a hold of you and keep you seated in that chair. This session is about you and only you raising your hand up and asking the right questions. Agreed? Are we good? Can we get a yes? Yes? That's the most whispered yes I heard. Lovely. Well, we shall begin the panel session. So I would like to invite our honorary panelists to come on board and have a seat with me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we start on the panelist discussion, feel free to take your phones and write any 2 questions that you all have that you all would like to ask from any of these top founders that we have with us today so that we can go to the Q&A soon after. First of all, it's an honor to be seated here and moderating this panel discussion with a lovely set of founders and entrepreneurs who I look up to as well. And some of you all already know me as the questioner I am, and some of you all are very well established on how I ask my questions. So let us begin. Dharani, brand strategy and marketing. How can an early stage entrepreneur build a brand identity that feels credible even when their business is still small?
Can I ask you a question? What do you mean by credible or credibility?
Well, so this panelist is changing. Thank you. Apparently, I'm not the moderator anymore. So, what I believe credibility in terms of a founder is the initial stage I thought was building stacks and stacks of accountability of doing accomplished work to showcase what I did, like a CV. I studied here, I did this, and I did that. That was the initial understanding. But now I believe credibility can come through purpose as well.
I think the first definition you gave is better than the second one. Yes, it comes from showing proof that you have done what you claim that you do, right? But when you're just starting off a business, you don't really have any case studies to show. You don't have a portfolio, right? You might have work that you've done under a different company, under a different employer, which you can use at certain points. But when you're coming out with a new product, a new idea, new service that you haven't tried out before, you don't really have proof. In this situation, actually, is when branding helps. Because what branding does is essentially show you in a particular way to your ideal customer or client. It shows you as someone with confidence who knows what you're talking about, or if it's not a founder's branding, if it's a business's branding, then as a business, this is what we do. This is why we are the right people to help you solve this particular problem. That is what branding is for, to help you show up as a trustworthy, credible person. So when you are just starting off, when you're a small company, I would say branding can be really helpful in that sense. But at the same time, it might not be the first thing that you want to spend on either, especially when you have a very tight budget, right? So if you're a funded startup, if you have an investor behind you, then yes, definitely branding is something you should consider. But if you're going off of your own savings, out of your own pocket, then maybe the better thing to do is to go out there, find some clients first, get those case studies, get that proof of concept of what you're selling is a good thing that other people want to buy. That would work better when you're an unfunded startup that is working on a budget. So branding is important, yes, but it very much depends on where you are with your business, at what stage you are with your business, and what you can afford. So it's a case of prioritizing what's important and following that system.
Thank you very much. That answer was quite incredible. All right. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you for that answer, Darren. That really did cover a lot of things. We have to learn how to prioritize our company before we even think about the big marketing billboards and everything before we go ahead. And this takes me on to my next question. This one, anyone could choose to answer. What do you believe is the next big sector for Sri Lankan entrepreneurs in the next 5 years? Anyone can choose to answer that. Yes.
I believe it might be the tourism sector. There's a lot of scope in tourism, in digitalization, AI coming in. So these are the things I think that we can look forward where as general public also can get involved in subsectors and start working away around that to build up a company or.
Thank you. If we could continue with that, okay, let's say if every entrepreneur committed to one financial or strategic shift tomorrow, what would you recommend?
I might be biased on this, but uh, I'm involved in the stock market. So this is one area that understand that wealth can be created. So you can be an investment advisor or an investor. Both have sky is the limit for them if you really understand, study, and take a long-term approach. There's lots of money to be made, right? For example, if you take our country now, we had 3 bull runs, I would say, in 2009-10, just immediately after the war. We had a lot of hope. The war is finished and country will develop. So we had a very good run at that time, 2009-10, but that hope didn't really materialize too much. Then thereafter, I'm thinking just after the COVID, post-COVID, we had a very good run where lots of investors couldn't go employ their cash into their own businesses. So they came into the stock market all over the world. This happened. And the stock markets were at all-time peak. So that was another area. A lot of people made money. And the third phase, I would say, is just after this election uh, in 2009, last year, September. Since then, the market has gone up almost 90% now. I would say almost 3 trillion rupees wealth has been created during this period. So that's almost more than $10 billion. So compared to the IMF program, what we got was 2.9 billion over a period of 4 years. But in the stock market has given a return of more than 10 billion within this 1 year, right? And there's so much of more potential is there. Earnings are good, interests are very low at the moment. With the IMF discipline that coming in, many things are in order for the market to uh, to this thing and move forward. So that means I would say another at least 40-50% can go by the time the IMF program is over. So that means you're talking of another 3 to 5 trillion of money wealth can be created. That's where all of you all should take part, because otherwise it's limited to a very small group at the moment. They will say about 30 to 100,000 people who are really investing in the market. But if we would like out of the 22 million, at least 1 million should come into the market and enjoy this and understand what it is. It's not just to enjoy, where you are putting your money in. And for example, let's say someone is investing in a fixed deposit in a bank. You have no control of that money, where that money is they are given. The bank manager might give to a preferred customer or a industry, But in stock market, when you invest, you know the company that you're going to put your money in. If you have certain sectors that you don't like, you don't have to put in that. Or certain people you don't like, you don't invest in that. So you have a direct control, at least in that sense. So that way, if you understand and invest, there's a lot of scope in the stock market.
Thank you very much for that answer about how the stock market works and what we should look into. And this created a concern towards me as well, which I would like to redirect the question towards Mr. Danushka. What indicators do you look for when deciding whether a business is truly scalable or sustainable at a small level?
Thank you, Talal. මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ දෙන්න ඉස්සලා I mean I had a request to speak in Sinhala as well for the benefit of most of the audience. මම පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න කැමතියි. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ wealth management subject එක තමයි study කරලා තියෙන්නේ. නමුත් ඕගොල්ලෝ කී දෙනෙක් මෙතන business එකක් scale කරන්න හරි business එකකට investment එකක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවද? පොඩ්ඩක් අත උස්සන්න පුළුවන්ද? ලංකාවේ හැමෝම හරිම ලැජ්ජයි. මම මේක පිටරට දකින්නේ නැහැ. ලංකාවේ අපි හැමෝගෙම දකින්න අපි ලැජ්ජයි. පොඩ්ඩක් අත උස්සන්න කිව්වා. පොඩ්ඩක් අත උස්සන්න පුළුවන්ද? මට ඒකට කවුන්ට් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. කී දෙනෙක් පොඩියට හරි පොඩි ෂොප් එකක් කොෆි ෂොප් එකක් හරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් එකක් ගන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවද? එහෙම දෙයක් ගැන හිතලා හරි තියෙනවද? හිතලා නම් ඇති ගොඩක් නැහැ කියන්න බෑ. අපි කවුරුත් කැමති සල්ලි කීයක් හරි හම්බෙලා අපිව ගොඩ දාන්න කවුරු හරි එනවනම්. හරි උඩට අත උස්සන්න. right. thank you. මොකද wealth එකේ මම දකින තව ෆැක්ටර් එකක් තමයි time. මේ අද අපි කතා කරන විනාඩි ටික මේ පැය හරි ඕගලන්ගේ ජීවිතේ ලොකු හැරවුම් ලක්ෂයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකින්ද මේ සල්ලි හොයනවා කියන එකේ ලොකු ෆැක්ට් එකක් තමයි time management කියන එකත්. ඉතින් හැම තප්පරයක්ම අපතේ අරින්න එපා මේ ලැබෙන chance එකෙන් උපරිම ප්‍රයෝජනෙ අරගන්න. මොකද අද මෙතන ගොඩක් කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා ඕගලන්ට දේවල් කතා කරන්න කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ experiences තමයි share කරගන්නේ. හරි. ඒතර business එකකදී now Talal asked me a good question. දැන් මමත් investments කරනවා business වලට. එතකොට අපි බලන factors කීපයක් තියෙනවා. පළවෙනිම fact එක තමයි scalability කියලා කියන්නේ. scalable. ඒ කියන්නේ ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ business එක model එක scale කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. ඕගොල්ලෝ ඇතුව හෝ සමහරවිට ඕගොල්ලන්ම නැතුව. මම example එකකින් කියන්නම්. ඔයා පටන් ගන්නවා පොඩි hardware shop එකක් කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. ඒකට hardware shop එකේ ඔයා බඩු විකුණන්නේ. ඔයා තමයි බඩු ටික කිරන්නේ. ඔයා තමයි බඩු ටික රැක් වල ස්ටැක් කරන්නේ. ඔයා තමයි උදේට මේක ඕපන් කරලා වහන්නේ කියලා ඕගොල්ලෝ සල්ලි ඉල්ලුවොත් මම ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක් නම් මම ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒක රිස්ක් ෆැක්ටර් එක සෑහෙන්න වැඩි. ඇයි ඒක ඩිපෙන්ඩ් වෙන්නේ ඕන මත. තේරුණාද ඕගලන්ට? මේකට කියනවා මුදලාලි මානසිකත්වය කියලා. ඕගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇති හැම අපේ ගමේ කඩේකම මුදලාලි කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. මුදලාලි වැඩිම ස්කේල් වෙන්නේ ගෝලයට. එහෙමත් එක්කෙනෙක් තමයි පොඩි චේන් එකක් ග්‍රොසරි චේන් එකක් වගේ හදන්නේ. එතකොට එයාගේ සක්සස් එක ඇහුවොත් එයා පැය 24ම දවස් 7ම වැඩ කරලා ඒ දේ කරන්න බෑ. එයාට ස්කේල් කරන්න පුළුවන් පුංචි මොඩල් එකක් එයා හොයාගන්න ඕන. ඒක තමයි රෙසිපි එක රහස බිස්නස් එකකදී ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක් මුලින්ම බලන ඔයාගේ මොඩල් එක ස්කේලබල්ද කියලා. මේක ග්‍රොසරි ෂොප් එකකට, සැලොන් එකකට මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි ඕනි එකක ස්කේල් වෙච්ච කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. ඕගොල්ලෝ ගන්න බිස්නස් එකේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න මේකේ ලීඩර්ස්ලා මාකට් ලීඩර්ස්ලා කවුද? ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ රහස මොකක්ද? මේ හැමෝන්ගේම රහස තමයි ස්කේලබිලිටි කියන එක. මුලින්ම ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ මොඩල් එක ස්කේලබල් කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. ඒක කරන්න බැයි නම් කිසිම වෙලාවක ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක්ට නිකන් ගිහිල්ලා මට සල්ලි දෙන්න කිව්වට මොලේ තියෙන මිනිස්සෙක් ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්නේ නැහැ. අර ඒන්ජල් ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක් හම්බ වෙන්න පුළුවන් සල්ලි තියෙන නැන්ද කෙනෙක් මාම කෙනෙක් හරි මැරෙන්න ලං වෙලා ඉන්නවා දේපල ටික කාටවත් දීලා දෙන්න බෑ ඒකින්ද අනේ පුතේ උඹට මම මේ ටික දීලා දෙන්නම් අනේ දුවේ මාව බලාගත් ඉන්න මගේ සල්ලි ටික දීලා දේපල ටික දීලා දෙන්නම් වගේ කවුරු හරි හම්බුනොත් හැරෙන්න ඔහොම සල්ලි හොයන්න බෑ අනිත් එක එහෙම ගන්න සල්ලි හරියන්නේත් නෑ මොකද ඕගොල්ලන්ටත් මොඩල් එකක් නෑ ඒක නිකන් අර ලොතරැයියක් ඇද්දා වගේ අද කෝටිපතියෙක් හෙට ආයිත් නේ පාරේ හිඟන්නේ එහෙම බෑ ඒකින්ද මොඩල් එක ඕගොල්ලෝ ඒ රහස හොයාගන්න ඕන ස්කේලබල් කරන්න ඕන මොඩල් එක Number 2 would be the system, structures. Business එක හැම එකේදීම අපි උත්සාහ කරන්න ඕන business එකක් හදක්කි SOP කියලා තියෙනවා document එකක් ඕගොල්ලෝ හදාගන්න ඕන. Standard operating procedure. තේරුණාද? සමහරවිට ඕගොල්ලෝ දන්නව ඇති නොදන්නව ඇති. ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් ඔපරේටින් ප්‍රොසීඩර් එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ උදේ ඉඳන් බිස්නස් එකේ කරන සියලුම ටාස්ක් ඕගලන්ට පුළුවන් ලිස්ට් ඩවුන් කරන්න. මම ෂොප් එක අරිනවා 8:30. මගේ ෆස්ට් කස්ටමර් මම ප්‍රෙඩික්ට් කරනවා 8:30 to 10:30 එන්න. එයාගෙන් මම අද බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ලක්ෂයක හරි 1000ක හරි 500ක හරි සේල් එක. මම ෂොප් එකේ වැඩිම කස්ටමර්ස්ලා ඉන්නේ 2 ඉඳන් 4ට. ඒ වෙලාව තමයි බිසීම. මම ෂොප් එක වහන්නේ 5 මාට්ට ලොක් කරලා ඉබ්බා දාලා මම යනවා. ඔය සිම්පල් මෙතඩ් එක. ඔක ස්කේල් කරද්දි තව එක්කෙනෙක් ගත්තම ඔයා මෙයාට කියලා දෙන්න ඕන මේ මොඩල් එකම. නැත්තම් ඔයා නැති දවසට මේ මිනිස්සයා කඩේ අරන වෙලාව දන්නෙත් නැහැ, වාඩි වෙලාව දන්නෙත් නැහැ, කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක්ට සර්විස් කරන විදිය දන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඒ SOP එකක් කියන එක ගොඩාක් ඩීටේල්ස් තියෙනවා. නමුත් බේසික් දේ තමයි අපි මේක සිස්ටම් එක ලියා ගන්න ඕන. ඒතකොට ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක් බලන ඊළඟ දේ තමයි ඔයාට solid SOP එකක් තියනවාද කියලා. දැන් මම ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරනවා නම් මම බලනවා ඔයාගේ SOP එක මොකක්ද? ඔයා නැති වුණොත් මේ බිස්නස් එක සල්ලි ආයෝජනය කරලා දුවන්න පුළුවන් මොඩල් එක ඔයා ලියලා තියෙනවද? ඔයාගේ රෙසිපි එක මොකක්ද කියලා. ඒකත් සෑහෙන ඉම්පෝටන්ට් බිස්නස් එකකදී ග්‍රෝ වෙන්න. තුන්වෙනි එක තමයි ෆවුන්ඩර්. ෆවුන්ඩර් කොච්චර මේ දෙයට කැප වෙනවද මේ දේ ගැන බිලීව් කරනවද කියන එක. ෆවුන්ඩර්ට මං කලින් කිව්වේ අර ඕගලන්ට ඒ ඩ්‍රීම් එකයි විෂන් එකයි කැපවීමයි නැත්තම් අයිත් බලෙන් ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්ජෙක්ෂන් ගහලා ඕක හදන්න බෑ. බැරි මිනිස්සයාට ඕක බෑම තමයි. ඒ කියන්නේ කොච්චර උත්සාහ කරත් එයාගේ ඔළුවේ මේක නැත්තම් මානසිකත්වය කියන දේ හැදිලා නැත්තම් බිස්නස් එක ග්‍රෝ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයා ඉන්නේ යාගේ කම්ෆර්ට් සෝන් එකේ. හැමදාම ඉතින් අර කඩේ මුදලාලි වගේ තමයි. උදේට එනවා, හවසට යනවා, අයිත් එනවා. ඒ තැන ඒ විදිහටම තියෙනවා එයා ජීවිත කාලය දක්වා. නමුත් ඔන්ටර්ප්‍රෙනර් කෙනෙක් කියන්නේ ඊට වඩා ලොකු දෙයක් එයාට නිර්මාණය කරන්න ඕන. ජොබ්ස් ඇති කරන්න ඕන මාකට් එකේ. ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට්ස් ගේන්න ඕන. බිස්නස් එක ස්කේල් කරන්න ඕන. සල්ලි උත්පාදනය කරන්න ඕන. මේ තියෙන සල්ලි ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න එයා තැන් හොයනවා. ඒ වගේ එයාට ඕන එයාගේ කීර්තිනාමය වැඩි කරගන්න. බිස්නස් එකේ කීර්තිනාමය වැඩි කරගන්න. එහෙනම් ඔය කියපු ෆැක්ටර්ස් ටික ෆවුන්ඩර්ගේ ඇඟේ තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒකත් ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක් විදියට බලන තව ෆැක්ට් එකක්. ඉතින් ඔය මූලික දේවල් ටික ඕගලන්ට හදාගන්න පුළුවන් නම් පොඩියට පටන් ගන්න බිස්නස් එකක් හරි ඕගලන්ට ස්කේල් කරගන්න පුළුවන් සහ ඒ වගේම ඕගලන්ට ඒකට ඕන කරන පරිසරය හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඕන ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක්ට රීච් කරද්දී ඔය දේවල් ටික තියෙනවා නම් ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් හොඳ පිච් එකක් ඔයාලට ක්‍රියේට් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද පිච් එක කියන්නේ ලස්සන ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකක් හදලා ලස්සනට ඇදලා පැලදලා ගිහිල්ලා හොඳට ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කතා කරන එක නෙමෙයි. හරය තමයි වැදගත් වෙන්නේ. කෝ එක. තේරුණාද? හරය හොඳ නම් ඉන්වෙස්ටර්ස්ලා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් ඉන්නවා. ඒකට ප්ලැට්ෆෝම්ස් ලංකාවේ කීපයක්ම තියෙනවා. ඉතින් එතකොට ඕගලන්ට මේ ප්ලැට්ෆෝම්ස් හරහා හෝ එහෙමත් නැත්නම් වෙන බිස්නස් කැපිටල් ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන ෆර්ම්ස් එක්ක හරි වැඩ කරලා ඕගලන්ට ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට්ස් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. Thank you. I hope it was not too long.
That was perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Danushka. This, what you said about you can find enough and ample of investors, even the hidden ones, if you have not just the right pitch deck, not just what you wear, not just how you look, not the language, but the core values you bring, the principles you bring. So before I go on to the next question, I just want to take a raise of vote here. Who prefers the answers to be in Sinhala or English? Can I get who prefers it to be in Sinhala? Please raise your hands up. The only way for us to communicate here with y'all, me, y'all, and y'all, because y'all all came here to learn something, yes? The easiest way if you all communicate where you all understand best. Is it Sinhala or English? Tamil? I'm not sure if anyone can. Okay. All right. No worries. So we will go with the languages. You all can feel free to switch between dialects. That's totally fine. Whatever you all feel like. The next question I would like to point out to Mr. Tushan Vikramasinghe. You took capital trust from a single stockbroking firm to a diversified conglomerate across real estate education and even mobility solutions. On Sri Lanka's entrepreneurial ecosystem, you have seen both opportunities and limitations of doing business in Sri Lanka. If you had the power to change just one thing in the local business environment to accelerate entrepreneurship, what would it be?
Well, what is common in Sri Lanka is that very few are good entrepreneurs and they go up while the others are watching. And what is common in Sri Lanka is that the ones who cannot go up want to bring down the ones who are going up. That culture has to change. Sinhalen කිව්වොත් අපේ ජාතිය කුහක ජාතියක්. හැම දියුණු වන පුද්ගලයාටම අනවශ්‍ය social media posts හරි මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති කරනවා. හැම එක්කෙනාම තමාගේ උත්සාහයෙන් දියුණු වෙන්න ඕනේ. Okay, what I mean is each person has to understand what their uh, competitive advantage. Each one has some ability which most people don't have. You have to go on working towards that. And don't be a follower just because a large number are doing tourism. Don't go and put up hotels. If you think now a lot of people are going to car business, just don't go on doing that. You just look at yourself and see what do I really have a competitive advantage which others don't have, and you must have a passion for it, right? That is how you can be successful. Then I'm going a little bit out of the point, but regarding entrepreneurship, basically there are seasonal businesses. For example, our interest rates go go down when the economy is well. I mean, basically the exchange rate is stable like today, and the interest rates after tax is lesser than 5%. Then the stock market will do well. At some point, the politicians will go and bungle it, and the interest rates will go up. Then what happens is you need to know automatically get out of the stock market. Then you take things like tourism for world items as well as particularly events in Sri Lanka like bombs or something. Tourism also will go up and down. So you can make a lot of money in these seasonal businesses, especially the stock market, but you must also have stable things like a property apartment you buy and you rent, and don't put all your money into a business. You must have a little bit so that even if your business fails, you have something to start. It's very difficult to start from zero, but if you have something saved, that can be the next base for your next business. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tushan, for the lovely answer. You really did cover the idea of seasonal businesses and how the rates could just shift within just a moment's notice. So, if we are to properly have a more in detail look into this, we have two also inspiring co-founders, Mr. Abid and Mr. Mustaq, co-founders of Local Business and Simple Books. Through Simple Books and Local Business, you have interacted with countless, and when I mean countless aspiring entrepreneurs. We see you in every TikTok, in every Instagram or Facebook video we go through, and I sometimes get tired of you all, but I still watch because you all have some good things going on. What do you think is the single biggest mindset shift someone in Sri Lanka needs to make to move on from thinking about a business to actually running one?
Super. So I would say what stops majority of the Sri Lankans, I would say it's not a Sri Lankan problem, it's a human problem, is that we are not good executors, right? In terms of validating an idea, in terms of moving forward, in terms of getting things done, right? For example, I gain a business idea එකක් තියෙන්නේ කවුද කියලා අතොස්සන්න කිව්වොත් everybody will raise their hands, right? කවුරු කෙනෙක් අතොස්සන්න නැත්නම් ඒ අතොස්සන්න නැත්te වෙන reason එකකට, but everybody has a $1 million idea in their head right now, right? කොච්චර නැහැ කිව්වත් it is yes. So what is stopping them, I would say, it's execution, right? What would happen if this fail? What would happen මෙහෙම වුණොත් එහෙම වුණොත් මොනවා වේද? What I'm going to lose? I should ඒ time එක මම degree එකට දානවා. ඒ time එක I will put for my job, ඒ time එක I'll put for that, I'll put for these. So many concerns. Like I would ask them, right? The worst thing you could have is it will go wrong, right? හිතපු දේ උනේ නැහැ. But I have seen many smart entrepreneurs make that failure part of their storyline. Okay? There are certain entrepreneurs who comes to the show, they highlight their failure more than their success story. Why? They want to build a story. Right? Uh, right. I would say even Banuka from Surge, even many of our trainers, I'll just give you an example, like how this failure you can turn into a personal brand. Now, for example, there are trainers who have, you know, පළවෙනි business එක fail වුණා, පළවෙනි business එකේ මේ දේ learn කරා, like okay. But when they come to the next business, they sell that story to investors, or it can be for their employees, team members. So I would say the biggest mind shift change they could change is take that take that action, right? It can be today, it can be tomorrow. Just take it, right? Just take it, because there is no template for these things, guys, right? There is no templates. You just need to take the action, get some sort of education, get some sort of a knowledge. නිකන් කිසිම දෙයක් දන්නේ නැතුව පනින්න නැතුව, like learn brand. If you want to build a brand, learn branding, but don't be don't be an expert on branding. Just learn it, do it, again learn it, do it, relearn it, do it. That's the process, guys, right? Once you go around 10 circles, you will figure out a formula, guaranteed, right? Your own formula, right? This is not a formula of Simple Book. It's not a formula of Loco Business. It's not a formula of Dr. Roshan. It's a formula of yours. So I would say that executional mindset has to come to a lot of our youngsters and our community at large.
Thank you very much, Mustafa, for that lovely answer. I mean, it makes sense. Once you go on the circle 10 more times. I mean, in my case, I'm delusional. I see triangles now, right? But that's how much, like, when I have failed throughout the time, I run in diamonds, squares, whatever shapes, hexagon, pentagon. But in this case, you made a brilliant point. Execution is a must. And I think that's something I even learned from Danushka. So on my first podcast was with Danushka, and that's why he's like a key entrepreneur to me myself. Moving on, we have understood that personal brand can take you far. Like you said, failures can also be a reason to highlight your personal brand. It can be a good motive. So this question will be directed towards Dharani. How important is it for founders to build their personal brand along their business brand, and where should they start?
Again, if we're talking about unfunded startups, right? Small businesses, which is probably the majority of people in this room. You will be building your businesses based on your savings. In that situation, you are your biggest asset for your business. So putting your face on your business is the easiest way to build your brand. Yeah. Thereafter, based on what you get back from the people who are watching, who are coming to you to buy your product or your service, you can then eventually start expanding that into a business idea, into a larger thing, right? This has been my experience as well. When I started my business 5 years ago, I was just a freelancer. I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur. I just wanted to make enough money to pay the bills at the end of the month. That was my entire goal. And now I have a company with 15 employees. I am an investor in 8 companies. 5 years. Yeah. If I can do it, anybody can. How did I start? I started by making videos and posting them on Instagram. And today, one person from the audience came and said, "Hey, I watch your Instagram videos." Okay. So if I can do it, I'm nobody, guys. But if I can do it, that means every single person in this room can do it too. So building a personal brand, putting yourself out there, talking about what you do or what your product is, how it changes the situation for your clients, for your customers, how you can solve a problem, is the easiest way to promote your business and to start getting sales. So now, when I tell this to my clients, what they always say is, "I don't like being on camera. I'm shy. I don't have, a personality." Forget that. Because Roshan said at the very beginning of this event today that his very first video, he wasn't smiling, he wasn't happy, and his video editor said it's a terrible video, right? That's how everybody starts. Every single person. You don't need to be perfect. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. Remember that you are a business owner, you are not an entertainer, you are not an influencer, right? That is not the job. The job is to sell a product or your service. That's all you have to do. Your clients don't care that you are not entertaining. They don't care that you don't have 10 million followers, right? If you can solve a problem, that's all they care about. For 5 years, I've had less than 5,000 followers on Instagram. It hasn't impacted my business at all. Because the people who need my services, they understand what I'm saying, what I'm teaching, what I'm offering. And that's what they want. And somehow that landed me here on this stage today. It works, right? You don't need to be famous, you don't need to be an influencer. So forget what everybody else is thinking. Don't worry that people are going to hate you or hate your videos and say you're a fraud or whatever it is. Let them say what they want to. You speak your truth, and that will not go wrong. And that is essentially what personal branding is. That's all you have to do. It's not about the car you drive, the house you live in. It's not about having a fancy life and showing that you travel all the time. It's none of those things. It's just, here's what I can do to help you. Here's how my product can change your life. That's it.
That really covered the whole question I was asking for. There's no backup questions through that. Thank you very much, Dharani, for that lovely answer. Next up, I would like to move the mic towards Mr. Imtiaz. Mr. Imtiaz, beyond buying and selling shares, right? Now, a lot of people, when you say stock market, all they think about is you hop on board, you get someone to help you out, you buy a couple of shares, you sell them at the right time. If we were to see how can an entrepreneur strategically use the stock exchange to raise capital or attract partners, what would be your best advice for that?
So, yeah, I would say if you want to scale up, this is one of the easiest way to come in to get yourself listed, right? There's so many advantages are there, as like they're talking about branding, marketing, financing, to different customer wise, everything. You go into another level, like what we can do as a family business or a small organization, which is sometimes not known, or here you automatically you get that publicity, through a lot of shareholders, through a lot of public articles, everything coming, your company comes known, like, so that way there's a lot of advantages are there of someone SME to go for a listing. uh, Likewise, like, even if you want to invest, uh, there are many areas that you can go into, right? So, like, initially you can be your own main business, and from there you can diversify, uh, and you can get good investors coming in. uh, the branding to everything has a very good advantage in building up through stock exchange. And I think that's the future going forward, because if you look at companies that have gone public, most of them are taking over all the small businesses, right? If you see, like, for example, the VAT was there before, right? Some people don't pay VAT if you are a small in. Now it's becoming very strict and getting regularized. So it's becoming a even playing field. So when that happens, the companies that are listed are at a more advantageous position. Right now, if you see recently, like what's happening in the car industry, lots of dealers used to be there before, but now you can see a lot of new entrants from the stock market have come into the car business, and they have really captured the business now. Likewise, you take your supermarkets, that is taking over all the corner shop, the small grocery shops, all the so many supermarkets are being opened. Likewise, every area you see, as time goes, you will find major businesses, and sometimes it's going to be very difficult for small businesses to exist. Maybe in a small town, yeah, in a small way you can, But over a time, like we go through foreign countries, if you see more major businesses only. You don't find, like, if you drive through a road, that many shops are there in a in foreign countries. All through marketing, they have agencies like in a bigger way. But here we still have that old system of, like, but that is slowly, eventually will change and go into the bigger hands. So that is the shift that we'll have to expect going forward.
So, if we were to take a few steps back, Mr. Imtiaz, now you have some fantastic views on the stock market. That goes without a doubt. There are a lot of SMEs here that are trying to either work part time and fund their company, or they are, if they have a lovely family, which I'm pretty sure everyone does, they get money from either the dad or the mom to run the company for registration. That's normally the first thing the parents give if they really believe in the vision. Now, for the ones who don't, where the parents are finding it to be a bit risky, when the SMEs or the young kids want to build a revenue stream for their personal gain to keep their expenses in control, how can they work with the stock market?
So this is the easier way to come into the stock market, because it's a passive investment, right? You can have your passion of, like, working somewhere or doing a small business. At the same time, you can build a portfolio. Like, what normally you should do is, lots of people come into the stock market thinking for a short term. You put 100,000 rupees and you expect within a year to double it or something like that. And sometimes if it doesn't work, they feel like, they have wasted their time or they are losing. That's not the way I think the new investor should enter the market. They should take a very long term view, start building a capital first, and you allocate a certain amount on a monthly basis. It can be from your salary or your business or whatever that additional cash that you have from your saving. On a monthly basis, you keep on building a certain amount, right? Don't expect from your first investment itself to make money, right? If that happens, let's say, for example, you put 100,000 today, right? And within, say, 3 months or in 1 year, the market goes 100%, which has happened now the last 1 year. The market has gone up, right? Almost 100%. Okay, you're making your only that 100,000 rupees as your money that you have made, right? You are a small timer. But if you take a longer term view, you would have built up a capital, say, for 5 years, right? And you put, say, 100,000 rupees if you can a month. That's 1.2 million. In 5 years, you have 5-6 million you would have gained. You aim at that fifth year to make a bigger amount, right? So that time 100% goes up, you are making 5-6 million rupees, rather than trying to look at the first investment and looking at 100,000 rupees profit, or you get disappointed or you leave the market. Always think of a long term to keep investing. So in my case also, that's what happened. Like, I have been building. I was abroad till 2012 and came back. The market was not doing great from 12 till almost till 20, 7-8 years. Market was not going anywhere much, like, ups and down. And I was also not worried about the market going up or anything, because I was building a portfolio. If the market had gone up while I was building a portfolio, I would have not bought enough of shares, right? So that gave me a good leeway to continue building. And when the COVID hit and when the markets opened, I had built up a reasonably a good portfolio, like a amount of investment. And overnight, when things opened up, market started just shooting up. So that multiplied many times. I would say 10, 15, 20 times it would have gone through the last 4-5 years now. So that's the kind of return you can get if you had to have a good amount. But if I had not invested enough in those bad periods, and if I always waited, let's the market move up, and like how a lot of people want to come, and when you hear about the market going up, that's why everyone wants to get in, right? But not when the markets are down, they move away from this and say, no, this is not for me, and go out. So they don't continuously, they don't invest and build a portfolio. It's like in any business. Like for example, you are going to work. For your first month itself, you're not going to expect a huge salary increment, right? So you'll have to work for 5 years, 10 years. Over a period of time, only you're going to expect promotions and salary increments. Likewise, treat the stock market also in that basis, and then you will have a much better return on this.
That's very true, Mr. Imtiaz. A lot of people, especially a lot of people that I know, they try to opt out for the short-term, bigger revenue stash kind of a movement where it does not really work. Patience is required to do what you do as well, and for any founder to run their company. Which moves me on to the next question for Mr. Tushan. Mr. Tushan, you took capital trust from a single stockbrokering firm and to a diversified conglomerate across many avenues. Looking back, and this is something you'll have to dive in a couple of years back when you started, what was the boldest risk you took that most people around you doubted, but you knew, like you had that gut feeling it was necessary?
There is no specific thing like that because the the positions taken in the stock market, there are uh, high return, high risk, high return ones, low risk, low return ones. So the volumes I have taken at different points of time has been quite different. So when there was a dollar income, there was a dollar crisis in this country. Dollar income, dollar asset shares were the best. There, I just put all the funds we had, and that drastically went up. Now, what has happened is you don't find any drastic events in this country. Now, again, I must say, after that event, the interest rates went up to 36%. Then you have to buy the banks and the primary dealers who have bonds. Then you make huge amounts. Now the country is normalized. So you don't find anything going up very fast or coming down very fast. Right. Answering your question, in the stock market, I have taken big positions and like nature, about 75% have worked out. And when you take many risks uh, rather than doing nothing, then over a period of time, you gain very much more. And then you have to diversify also without only being in the stock market. 2014 to 2016, we started accumulating lands. Then we built 3 office buildings. Then 2017 to 19, we built 3 apartment complexes. Then we found that due to the bomb, COVID, and this VAT on apartments coming, that is not suitable. So, like that, as time goes, you need to do what is the best in the country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tushan, for the lovely answer. I mean, you went on to take on big positions. Obviously, you studied the study before you even dived into such a big risk. But what were the pros and cons of taking such a big risk? I mean, pros, obviously, you did win some. But what were the cons of you favored? Was there family pressure? Was there external pressure that was bugging you for you to even making you think twice before moving on to such a big position?
Okay, it's like this. Now, when I'm actually driving, also, when I'm driving in Colombo in a very crowded area, I drive slow. But I have a bad habit when there is a straight road, we'll say somewhere near Hambantota or something, I may go at 160 kilometers per hour. So it's something like that. Some certain times I'm really sure I just borrow and go very fast. Then some people ask me why I'm not a listed company. The reason is that about 20% of the decisions are as nature, and sometimes it is due to external reasons, not because of my fault. I mean, I'll make a revelation how this Aragalaya happened, how this Easter Sunday bombs happened. They were nothing to do with Sri Lanka. It was something happening from overseas, which no one could have forecasted, right? So we get caught in those, and we don't know. I mean, just in 3 months ago, the stock market again died because there were about 3 wars which are simultaneously happening. But then, when things are very very bad, also it quickly gets uh, better. So answering your question, I did not go public because no one can blame me, right? I take my full decisions, and whatever the adverse events also, I have to take it by myself. However, I do not tell that everyone should be alone. You all must have your business partners and get the investments also, right? This is what I did, but y'all should have your business partners to put the entrepreneur the seed capital, while the each of the shareholders must do what they are best at.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tushan, for that lovely advice. But I do not advise you all, and I know some of you all are here who drive at 160 kilometers per hour on a Hambantota straight road. Personally, doing that and getting copped to police wasn't really a fun experience for me either. So do not recommend that. But if you're someone like Mr. Tushan, obviously you have the analytics placed while you do so. This moves on to someone who's also as analytical, Mr. Danushka. You were someone who also taught me financial habits as a startup progressing founder, and I wanted to always know in detail what financial habits should SME founders build early to prepare for a long-term investor readiness to attract investors.
Yeah, so I think that's again a very important question, something that a lot of startup founders and entrepreneurs struggle with managing finances. So, see, I will start by sharing my experience. When I started, I was like in early 20s, and then didn't have much knowledge on finances. But I think I did one thing right. Rather than trying to drop a fixed salary, my income was variable. ඔයාලට තේරෙනවද? දැන් මම ජොබ් එකක් කළා තමයි බිස්නස් පටන් ගත්තේ. So in your mindset you have the fixed income mindset. So you think you need that amount to survive. And the first thing a lot of business people or startups they do, they try to make more than what you used to make. So we all go through that cycle. Okay, if I start a business, obviously you want to make money. That's the end result. I mean, you can't, go rounds and say, no, I do have other intentions. You want to have a better income that will lead up to a better lifestyle, right? So you need to understand, having that mentality of making a fixed income, you need to let go of it. Simple as that. Because businesses it varies, like the stock market, like your life, everything varies. So හොඳ වෙලාවට මට මේක මුලදීම ක්ලික් වුණා. මම දැනගත්තා මම මොකද ටිකක් ලොකු සැලරි එකක් තමයි මම ගත්තේ. කාර් එකකුත් මට තිබ්බා. මම ඒ ඔක්කොම අයින් කළා තමයි බිස්නස් පටන් ගත්තේ අවුරුදු 23 දී විතර. එතකොට මට තේරුණා මම මේක accept කරොත් මට බිස්නස් කරන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So I didn't, trust me, I didn't even draw up a salary. මම පොඩි ගාණක් ගත්තා 10000ක් 5000ක් 15000 එදා වේල මම ෂේප් කරගෙන ගියා. මට පොඩි සේවින් එකක් තිබ්බා. නමුත් මම ඉන්කම් එක බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ බිස්නස් එකෙන් මට මේ රිච් වෙන්න කියලා. So financial discipline was very important. And then one more thing I did, I opened up a current account. දැන් බිස්නස් කරද්දී අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට personal money and business money කියන දෙකේ වෙනස දන්නේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් බිස්නස් කරන කට්ටිය. savings account එක මම basic දේවල් ඕගලන්ට කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් තව expand කරන්න. අපි savings account එකයි current account එක money market account එක fixed deposit එක ඔය ගොඩක් කාරණාවල වෙනස හරියටම තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. සරලව කිව්වොත් savings account එකක් අපේ day to day අපේ savings එනවා. business එකක් කරද්දී අපි current account එකක් open කරගන්න ඕන. එතකොට business transactions ඔක්කොම යන්න ඕන current account එක. නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ සල්ලි ඔයාගේ savings account එකවල පොතෙන් සල්ලි withdraw කරලා ඒක ගිහලා තව කාට හරි pay කරලා ඒකෙන් watch එකක් අරන් වාහනයක් අරන් ඒ වගේ දේවල් කරන්න ගියොත් ඔය වැඩේ fail වෙනවා. ඉතින් financial discipline එක ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ඉගෙන ගන්න income expenses කියන දෙක ඕක current account එකකින් manage කරගන්න. ඒ basic එක. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයා නෙමෙයි බිස්නස් එකෙන් ඉස්සෙල්ලාම සල්ලි හොයන්න ඕන බිස්නස් එක සල්ලි හොයන්න ඕන ඔයා පෝසත් වෙන්න. තේරුණාද? දැන් ඔයා හදන්නේ පොඩි ළමෙක් වගේ බිස්නස් එකක්. ඔයාව හදන්න ගියා නම් ඔයා බිස්නස් එකෙන් සල්ලි හොයලා බිස්නස් එක කම්ප්ලීට්ලි ෆේල් වෙනවා. ඒකින්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒක හොඳට ඉගෙන ගන්න. කම්පැනි සල්ලි තියෙන්න ඕන, කම්පැනියට ඒකත් එක්ක එක්ස්පෙන්ස් කරන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම ඇසෙට්ස් බිල්ඩ් අප් කරන්න ඕන කම්පැනි එකේ. පර්සනල් ඇසෙට්ස් වලට ඉස්සෙල්ලා කම්පැනි ඇසෙට්ස් බිල්ඩ් අප් කරන්න ඕන. මම මේක ගොඩක් තැන්වල කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් ෆොටෝග්‍රැෆර් කෙනෙක් නම් ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න ඕන කැමරා එකට. ග්‍රැෆික් ඩිසයිනර් කෙනෙක් නම් කම්පියුටර් එකට ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න. ෆොටෝග්‍රැෆර් ගිහිල්ලා එයා අඳින ඇඳුමටයි එයා දාන සබත්තු දෙකටයි එයාගේ සන්ග්ලාස් දෙකටයි සල්ලි අරන් ෂූට් එකක් කරලා වියදම් කරලා කියන්නේ ඉතින් වැඩේ එතනම හරියන්නේ නැහැ. මේ හැම බිස්නස් එකක්ම මොන දේ පටන් ගත්තත් බිස්නස් එකට ඕගොල්ලෝ සල්ලි ටික ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ඩිසිප්ලින් එක තියාගන්න. සහ ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ එක්ස්පෙන්සස් හරියට ට්‍රැක් කරගන්න. දැන් අපිට තියෙනවා පර්සනල් එක්ස්පෙන්සස් බිස්නස් එක්ස්පෙන්සස් කියලා. සමහර ඒවා අපිට පර්සනල් එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එකක් වුණත් ක්ලේම් කරගන්න පුළුවන් බිස්නස් එකෙන් ඒ විදිහට ෆයිනෑන්ස් හදාගත්තොත්. හැබැයි හැම එකම ඕගොල්ලෝ හරියට ඒ ගැන නොලෙජ් වෙන්න ඕන. මොකද මම දැකලා තියෙනවා සමහර අය ෆිට්නස් කරන ෆිට්නස් ට්‍රේනර්ස්ලා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ගන්න ප්‍රෝටීන් එක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ බිස්නස් එක වෙනුවෙන්ද නැත්නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ පර්සනල් ට්‍රේනින් වෙනුවෙන්ද කියලා සමහරවිට ඒගොල්ලන්ට අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩින් එකක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ මොකටද මේ දේ කරන්න කියලා. එක්ස්පෙන්ස් කරන්නේ බිස්නස් එකට නම් ඒක බිස්නස් එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එක. පර්සනල් නම් ඕගොල්ලෝ ගිහිල්ලා ගෲමින් කරනවා නම් ඔය ගිහිල්ලා ලේඩීස්ලා ගිහිල්ලා සැලෝන් එකට ගිහිල්ලා කොණ්ඩේ කපනවා නම් ලිප්ස්ටික් දාන ඒක පර්සනල් එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එක. ඒක බිස්නස් එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එකක් කරගන්න යන්න එපා. ඉතින් බිස්නස් එකේ එක්ස්පෙන්සස් ටික හොඳට දැනගන්න. පොඩියට හරි ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් ඩිසිප්ලින් P&L එකක්, ඉන්කම් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක, බැලන්ස් ෂීට් එක, ඇසට්ස් කියන්නේ මොනවද, ලයබිලිටිස් කියන්නේ මොනවද, ඉන්කම් කියන්නේ මොනවද, එක්ස්පෙන්සස් කියන්නේ මොනවද. ඔය දේවල් හතර මූලික වශයෙන් ඕගොල්ලෝ හොඳටම දැනගෙන තියෙන්න ඕන බිස්නස් එකක් කරද්දි. නැත්නම් අර සල්ලි ආවට සල්ලි එහෙම්මම ගලාගෙන යනවා. ඒකට මමත් බිස්නස් එකේ මුලින්ම ওই දේවල් එක්ක ටිකක් හැප්පුණා. හොඳ වෙලාවට මම අර ලොකුවට සල්ලි වියදම් කරන්න ගියේ නැහැ බිස්නස් එකේදී. මම පුළුවන් තරම් බැලුවේ බිස්නස් එක ග්‍රෝ කරගන්න. මොකද මමත් අර බූට්ස්ට්‍රැප් ක්‍රමයට බිස්නස් කරපු එක්කෙනෙක්. අද වෙනකම්. තලාල්ගේ එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තලාල්මත් එක්ක කතා කරමුකෝ ඉන්වෙස්ට් මං කිව්වා නැහැ මම ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරාට මම තාම ඉන්වෙස්ටර්ස්ලා ගෙනල්ලා නැහැ බිස්නස් එකට. ඒ වුණාට අපිට ඇසට්ස් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා, ෆැක්ටරි තියෙනවා, ෂෝරූම්ස් තියෙනවා, වෙහිකල්ස් තියෙනවා. අපේ ඇසට් බේස් එක ගොඩක් ලොකුයි. ඒ වගේම අපේ එම්ප්ලොයිස්ලා ඉන්න over 100 විතර. නමුත් අපි තාම ඉන්වෙස්ටර්ස්ලා ගෙනල්ලා නැහැ. මං අර පටන් ගත්ත මේ මොඩල් එකම තමයි මම මේ ස්කේල් අප් කර කර ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක යන්න පුළුවන්. බෑ කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ. මම රුපියල් 10,000කින් තමයි මගේ වැඩේ පටන් ගත්තේ. ඉතින් ඒක ඕගලන්ටත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. අර ආත්ම විශ්වාසය තියාගන්න මට මේ දේ කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක ඩිසිප්ලින් එක හදාගන්න. මම කලිනුත් ඒක කතා කරා ඕගලන්ට. ඩිසිප්ලින් එක නැත්තම් ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් ඩිසිප්ලින් එක නැත්තම් කොහොමත් බිස්නස් එකක් ග්‍රෝ කරන්න හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. සා ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් නොලෙජ් එකත් ඒකත් එක්කම තියාගන්න ඕන. හොඳට ඒ පැත්ත ස්ටඩි කරන්න. අද කාලේ ඕනි තරම් රිසෝසස් තියෙනවා. YouTube වල ඕගලන්ට කෝසස් තියෙනවා. මගේ කාලේ නම් එච්චර ගොඩක් රිසෝසස් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඇත්තටම එච්චර ස්ටඩි කරන්න. අපි දැනුම හොයාගන්න සෑහෙන්න මහන්සි වුණා. වැරදි ගුණත් ගොඩක් සිද්ධ වුණා. හරිද? නමුත් දැන් කාලේ knowledge එක ඕගලන්ට quickly absorb කරගන්න පුළුවන් AI tools තියෙනවා financial management ගැන ඕගලන්ට දැන් මේ පොඩි ඕගලන්ගේ day to day income එක දැම්මම ඕගලන්ට ඔක්කොම statements ටික හදලා ඒ within seconds ගන්න පුළුවන් projection එකකුත් එක්ක budget කරන්න කොහොමද කියලා ඉස්සරහට ඕගලන්ගේ business එකේ growth එක project කරන තැනට පවා AI tools තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ tools වලින් වැඩ ගන්න. ඒවා තියෙන්නේ වැඩ ගන්න. නැතු ඒවා නිකන් තියෙන්නේ කම්පියුටර් එකේ ගිහලා නිකන් පොඩ්ඩක් ගිහලා විනාඩි 5ක් සෙල්ලම් කරන්න නෙමෙයි. වලින් හොඳට වැඩ ගන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕන මේ තියෙන tools වලින්. ඉතින් තවත් මගේ පොඩි එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එකක් කියනවා නම් මම හැමතිස්සෙම බැලුවේ කම්පැනි එක ග්‍රෝ කරන්න සහ එන්න ටීම් එකට කොහොමද ෆික්ස් සැලරි එක දීලා ඒගොල්ලන්ව රිටේන් කරන්න කියන කාරණා තමයි මම මූලික වශයෙන් බැලුවේ. මං හිතන්නේ මගේ ස්ටෝරි එකේදී මට ඒක හරි ගියා. මං කියන්නේ හැම ස්ටෝරි එකේම හරිය කියලා. මගේ ස්ටෝරි එකේ මට ඒක හරි ගියා. මම අවුරුදු 5කට පස්සේ තමයි මම ෆික්ස් සැලරි එකක් ගත්තේ බිස්නස් එකේ. 5 years it took me to draw a fixed salary. කියන්නේ monthly මම salary sheet එකට නම දාලා හරි ඩිරෙක්ටර් කෙනෙක් විදියට මට ෆික්ස් සැලරි එකක් අඩු වෙන්නේ නැති ෆික්ස් සැලරි එකක් ගන්න මට අවුරුදු 5ක් ගියා. එතකම් මම වේරියබල් එකත් එක්ක තමයි හැප්පුනේ. ඉතින් ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නැත්තේ නෑ. සමහරලාට ෆැමිලි මැනේජ් කරන්න ඕන, සමහරලාට අම්මලා තාත්තලාට සල්ලි දෙන්න ඕන, බලා ගන්න ඕන ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. නමුත් අපිට තියෙන ලොකුම ඇසට් එක I think ධරණි also said business එකේදී ලොකුම ඇසට් එක තමයි. තමන් ඇසට් එක කියලා හිතලා වැඩ කරොත් ලොකු දෙයක් බිස්නස් එකේ කරගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද ඇසට්ස් තමයි බිස්නස් එකට සල්ලි හොයන්නේ. තේරුම් ගන්න එක හොඳට. ඇසට්ස් තමයි සල්ලි හොයන්නේ. ඔයාගේ knowledge එක ඇසට් එකක්, ඔයාගේ time එක ඇසට් එකක්, ඔයා ඇසට් එකක්, ඔයාගේ brand එක ඇසට් එකක්. අපි හිතන්නේ මේවා ඇසට්ස් නෙමෙයි කියලා. මේවා ඇසට්ස්. ඔයානේ ඔයාගේ knowledge එක use කරලා බිස්නස් එක ගොඩනගන්න. ඉතින් ඔයා තමයි මේක ඇසට් එක. right? brand එක කියන්නේ intangible asset එකක් අපේ books වල. විදාන්න නැහැ සමහර කම්පනීස් වල. නමුත් brand value කියන්නේ intangible asset එකක් අපේ books වල. ඔයාලා finance කරන අය දන්නවා ඒක asset එකක් විදිහට ගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම තමයි අපි assets හදාගන්නේ. ඒ වගේම expenses control කරගන්නේ. සහ මොන account එකේද මොන සල්ලි දාන්න කියන එක ඕගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් අරන් අර පොඩි සල්ලියක් හරි සමහරලාට FD එක දාලා මාස 3කින් return එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. තව පොඩි දෙයක් ඇඩ් කරන්නම් පෝර්ට්ෆෝලියෝ එකක් මොකද අද වෙල්ත් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ඕගොල්ලෝ කියන ඉඳ මන්ට entrepreneurship වලට වඩා වෙල්ත් මැනේජ්මන්ට් පොඩ්ඩක් ටච් කරන්නම් පෝර්ට්ෆෝලියෝ බිල්ඩින් ගැනත් ඕගොල්ලෝ ඇත්තටම ඉගෙන ගන්නවා ඇති. ඒ කියන්නේ ස්ටොක් මාකට් එකක ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරනවා කියන්නේ පෝර්ට්ෆෝලියෝ බිල්ඩින් වල එක කෑල්ලක් විතරයි. ඕගොල්ලන්ට රියල් එස්ටේට් ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන් නේ. FDs වල ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. කම්පනීස් වල ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ගොඩක් ක්‍රම තියෙන ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ මේ බේස් එක වැඩි කරගන්න. ඉතින් එකකට ලිමිට් වෙන්න එපා. සමහරවිට පොඩියට බිස්නස් කරන අය මම දන්නවා තවත් පොඩි ඊට වඩා පොඩි බිස්නස් එකක ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරනවා. එහෙම තමයි රිස්ක් එකක් අරන් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ ඇසට්ස් ටික වැඩි කරගන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්කම් එක වැඩි කරගන්න. අපි මේ දේවල් වලට රිස්ක් ගන්න එක ඕනමයි, නොලෙජ් එක කියන දේ ඕනමයි, සහ ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් ඩිසිප්ලින් කියන දේ අත්‍යවශ්‍යම ඕන. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Danushka, for that lovely answer. You really did cover all the prospects of when it comes to handling finance as an SME. I mean, that's what this whole mastermind, I mean, Roshan we met in a cafe. He came for my event at certain hotels. And the first thing he did when he came to a cafe is he gave me a book which had all the fundamentals of financing, which I still read again and again just to make sure I'm doing it the right way. Because coming from an expert to a young boy who can take a hold of such advantage, I hope all of you all do the same thing as I did. So first off, thank you, Roshan, for even organizing this event on wealth management. It means a lot that you dedicated your time, and I see you running around to get this done for all of us, which was also covered by Mr. Danushka, as he is a seasoned entrepreneur who has come through a lot, and from various avenues, he really has built something for all of us to look up to. My next question goes to Abid. Abid, now marketing is one thing, finances is one thing, stocks is one thing, but then comes another very core element when it comes to an SME, which you and Mustaq share, partnership. Putting aside weddings and whatnot, this partnership is different. The bond is different. You co-founded companies with other leaders like Mustaq in your experience. What makes a co-founder relationship succeed? And what advice would you give someone choosing their first business partner?
Very good question. So I would say before you select a co-founder, I think first you need to understand what skills that you have. So there are certain skills that you have and certain skills that you don't have. So when you select a co-founder, you need to understand, okay, mama make hondai, mata make a bad. So always try to get a co-founder that can complement the skill that you don't have. ඒ කියන්නේ මට තියෙන දෙයක් මට නැති දෙයක් ඒත් මේ බිස්නස් එක සක්සස් කරන්න ඕනේ. So you go and find that particular person that has that skill, because business is, at the end of the day, it's a teamwork. Like, it's a combination of a lot of factors. So first thing is, like, you need to look at that. Like, you need to find what skills is required to make the business successful, and then go and find that particular person who has that skill. The second thing is, like, in this forum we just spoke, like, whatever you start, you need to have a passion. Say, I see business in a very simple way. Like, you see a problem, you see that that problem is not solved in the best way. It can be anything. You don't have to go after a trend, or you don't have to go after anything. Like, you just need to look at, okay, there's a problem, but I feel I have a better way of solving this problem than what's there. So your co-founder should also feel the same. They also should feel the same, like, because solving a problem is not a 1 year work. It's like 5 years. So business එක පටන් ගත්තම අවුරුදු 5ක් අවුරුදු 10ක් යනවා මේ ඒ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න. So if you're into just making money, or if you're into just making fame, you're not going to solve it. So what you need to look into is, it's like, හරි මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න තමයි මෙයාගේ තියෙන passion එක. So as far as you and your co-founder have the same passion, I think no one can stop you. Because when you start a business, there'll be ups and downs. It won't be a straight road. Like, there'll be good times, there'll be bad times. So again, second thing is, you need to look at whether your co-founder has that passion, and he's also willing to solve that particular problem. So I think if those two things are there, I think the rest will fall in place.
Thank you very much, Abi, for that answer. It's true. Partnerships within a company is also like getting married to your lovely partner. First sight is attractive, then you'll start living together more often, and next thing you know, certain sides come out from your partner that you didn't expect, like digging the nose, so pulling something off from the hair, or maybe they're not even in a business format, maybe they're not responsible, maybe they're not holding accountability, maybe they have ego. How do you deal with that as a partner? Right? Even in business, there are abusive relationships. I have been part of some weird ones. But what I'm saying is that's how it goes. So if you're finding a partner, like Abid said, looking to first fixing yourself, holding accountability, doing things right among your partner to make sure you get the same energy back. Now, guys, as we move on, we are going to do a Q&A from the audience, and our lovely panel here is going to do us a short answer format where they will stick to this timer of 1 minute per question. Would it be possible? I'm going to take that as a yes. That gasp was a yes. So I'm going to stand up now because my knees are hurting. How many of you all here have a question to ask? Please raise your hands up. This is the one opportunity. You have all of them here, seated under one roof, just as yourself. Anyone? I'm going to first look here, then look there, look there. Anyone from here? This is your one chance. You don't have to smile at me, darling, but we expect questions to happen. But y'all can smile also. Yes. All right. So we have Fiona. Let's give a round of applause. Just ask your question, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry I was a bit late. I actually woke up late because I was working. So my question is about investors, yeah? What are the 3 key attributes that you have to look for when you're looking for an investor for your second SME, your startup? I don't know to whom to direct this question, but I hope somebody with investment knowledge is ideal for this.
Thank you, Fiona. Would there be anyone who would like to take the mic for an answer within 1 minute? Mr. Abid, yes.
Yeah, the first thing that you need to look into is that first whether you need an investment or not. So that's the first thing that you need to look into, and then whether the person that who is going to invest, like you need to look into that whether they have invested in similar industry or niches. Like say every investor has their thesis. Say some people they invest in fintech, some people they invest in tourism. Because why they do that is like they have the network around that. So people who invest in fintech, they have the relationship with banks, other payment gateway partners, and all those people. So you first understand your niche and then figure out who are the people who are investing in those niches. So then go and reach out to them. And the second thing is you can always talk with other people who have received the investment from that investor. And you can just understand, okay, like, because say, when the things are good, every investor will be willing to help you out. But when things are bad, you need to understand like how these investors react. So the second thing is you go and ask other people who have received the investment from that investor and understand, okay, like how do they react in good times? How do they react in bad times? And the third, don't just look at money, look at connections that they can make. Because business is like, it's not like one person thing. Like they say it takes a village to build a founder. So you need to have the help of the ecosystem also. Like, so you need to understand, okay, this investor, can they go and connect it to other people? Like, can they help you to make partnerships? Like, can they help you to do intros with other prominent people that can support your business? Or can they help you to like raise money down the line? So look into those 3 things, like look into like whether they have invested in that niche. 2, whether ask from other colleagues, like how they react when things are good, when things are bad. The third thing is like look at what connections that they can make to you besides the money that they invest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abid. I mean, we all forgot the timer. Yes, please. You have exactly 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Okay, just want to quickly add up one more thing. I spoke about this. I don't know whether you were there when the time that I spoke about the same thing. So 3 things you need to look at: product, market, and your team. So don't look for investments to cover the expenses. That's a common problem a lot of people have. They look for investments to cover up their expenses. You will fail. Investors won't trust you at all. But if you have a product you think that can be scaled because of an investment, or if you think you can reach out to a market wider than the market that you already serve, look for investment. Or you're looking at scaling up your team. Okay, now you are having 2 people, but by having 4 people, if you think you can scale your business, that's another time to go for the investors. So apart from that, yes, you need to look at how you position your deck to, the type of investor you need to look, and how much money, the payback, the return, the shares, those are all decisions that you need to make along the line. But first of all, look at the 3 things that I told you that will help you to make a decision, proper decision.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Danushka. We had a question from here as I went line by line. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. Good afternoon, all of you. Actually, sir and madam, I need your advice. Already, I'm a teacher, and I need to start an academy. Therefore, I need some advice from you, actually. And also, my second question. Meanwhile, I'll need to start a hotel or a villa. So if you can give me advice, it's my pleasure.
Before we go on there, can we get the timer up on top? I'd like to keep so it's missing. I'll just look at my watch. Thank you very much for asking that question. So guys, as you all heard, she's a teacher. She wants to start her academy, and her husband is a chef. Very lovely love story there. And he's trying to start a hotel and villa. So thank you, Mr. Tusham.
Okay, I come from a educational family. For the last 35 years, I'm running Shakti Institute, which was started by my mother. 160 lecturers and 15,000 students for the last 20 years. Just in 2 lines, I want to tell you, academy is a property play, right? The biggest problem you have is you need to have the premises. That is the biggest matter. However, now you can do hybrid or fully online like MasterMind Roshan. You can do it online. If you can do online, then it's very profitable, and I would recommend you to do that. As villas, it's just a fashion, I would say. Some people won't like what I say, but a lot of people have gone into hotels, and it has not. It's a very difficult aspect because there's so much of expenses, things on air conditioning, depreciation, and all that. I recommend you with small capital don't go into that field.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tushan. I had to blow into this mic every time. We have a question over here from our lovely gentleman. Let's.
Yes, hi. So this question is for Mustaq actually. So I have noticed there's this thing called create economy. So what's your opinion? This create economy will be in Sri Lanka within the next 5 years, maybe the next 10 years, maybe. And what's our role as youth to address that future? Thank you.
Right. Sure. Yes. So now there was a lady over there who asked a question like she wants to start an academy, she wants to start their villa, right? So this create economy is where I would see is it is a way for you to enter into the market in a very easy way, right? So the entry barrier is very low. High skill, I would say it's a skill you need to improve. So I would say if like majority of the entrepreneurs, if you're willing to, start a business, start a service, start a product, the creator economy is a way where you could start with very less investment, you don't need to investors, you don't need to worry about it. Even the lady over here explained that she was a content creator, and so everybody in some sort of a way. I heard a very solid statement from Gary Vee. He says, every entrepreneur has to be a creator one day, right? Even Dr. Roshan is a creator. I don't know whether you realize, but he is a creator. I'm obvious a creator, right? We are creator first, right? Then we are entrepreneurs, right? So I would say anybody here who wants to start a business, yes, the world is changed. You have proof, and attention is the new currency. So now I would say anybody, like if you are doing a restaurant, like go into creation. Best example, Crepe Runner, Abdus Salam, right? Right. I barely remember that he's a owner of a restaurant. He's a creator, right? He's posting more than me, right? So I would say you may have a big factory, you may have a big, restaurant, you name it, a clothing store. Look at Carnage, right? Everybody is contributing to the creator economy. Whoever starts right now, you will have the first move advantage. So remember that whatever the business you are doing, like everyone, anyone, is the barrier is so low, barrier is so easy. I mean, there is no barrier at all. If you are not good at it, get a person. Now, if you go into top jobs, if you go into these recruitment platforms, when was the last time we saw a vacancy for video presenters? Right now, it's so common. Right? What are they trying to do? They are trying to enter into the creator economy. Right? So yes. So the simple answer is yes. If any entrepreneur just focus on it. Solid answer. Solid question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustaq. To our next candidate for the question, we have this lovely gentleman right here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charit. So I'm asking this question from Mr. Tusha. Recently in current stock market, we have seen some companies are going up, even though they don't have really good financial statements. Like, for example, NAV, price per book value. Like, I want to know, as a beginner in stock market, so still we have to trust in like financial ratios, like tangible properties, because next 5 years it will be AI revolution. So most of e-commerce platform, digital based platforms are coming to the market. So recently, yeah, 1 year back also a new one came as a IPO. So still we have to trust in ratio analysis, or market is changing how we have valued stocks. So I want to know in two ways for IPOs and also well established companies.
Now, as beginners, to just simplify everything, there is a market P ratio, we say, which is around 9. So if the P ratio is price divided by earnings per share, which is the P ratio, lower the better. And when there's a lot of risk, the P ratio would be around 6, and then it will go towards about, we say, 14, and then it becomes expensive. It's not a very big thing. So each share you look like that. Then the price to book value, I mean, if you start a company, the price to book value or the price to book value will be price divided by NAV, which is 1. So if you can buy a bank share which is trading at 0.6 times price to book value, it is obviously cheap. So it's not a big thing to understand the stock market. It's simple as that. Then you buy a share for the end of the financial year forecasted earnings. You don't buy a share or a person for the past. You buy it for the future, end of this financial year or the next financial year, and you work out your ratios. Then, so then there is a little bit more homework you have to do. You have to try to find context to make sure that those respective companies you're buying, you understand, and the future, what are the future trends. So that is the part you have to add on. So to help you, each broking firm has their research unit which puts out their forecast for various companies as company reports. I hope I understand. For as IPO market, it's dead. So let's not waste time talking about it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tushan. Before we move on, I have one question from one last candidate, and then we had to move on to Mr. Imtiaz for the last final wrap up. Sound.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Soundarya. Hi Dr. Roshan. So I have two questions. One is to Mr. Danushka and another one is to Mr. Idrus. My first question is to you, Mr. Danushka. When I come to entrepreneurship, I learned something called Grand Slam offer. When it comes to do that, which is a big offer that we can make into our client, which they can't be stupid to say no. So the three requirements to be grow is to get more clients, get them to pay more, and get them to do so many times. So the the thing is to do how. So according to the Sri Lankan market, what do you think? Our how is to be uh, price driven, which is commoditized, or value driven, which is differentiated. So I just want to know from you as a shark what you can give it to us as a startup entrepreneur and also a bootstrapped person, whether I should do more commodity things or more value driven things. That's my first question. And the other one is to Mr. Idrus. I watch your videos, I love it. And my question is for a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting from the scratch, what they should understand is to build the emotional stamina before they build the financial systems. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, our mind is like complex. We get a lot of new ideas every day. So, and we came to a point where we get analysis paralysis as well as a decision fatigue. And what is your idea and what's your advice for new entrepreneurs like us? What you can give us as advices if you are in a decision fatigue, what we can do to reduce that and going further without getting give up. Thank you.
All right. Just before answering that question, can I know the type of business that you want to adopt these strategies? All right. So there is no clear-cut answer for your question, but I can provide you with some advice in terms of selecting the right type of business model. It all starts with your offering and your market size. See, if you're serving the Sri Lankan market, what I've seen with a lot of businesses, you have to focus on a niche to sort of make like some real money. Okay. I mean, mass customization in our market works rarely. For certain products, it does, but for a lot of startups, it does not work. But if you have a bigger market, say for an example like India, mass customization work because you can experiment a lot with the market. So you can work on a product and you can customize it, to the masses, and you can keep on hitting at it and selling at it and making your money. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, focusing on a niche sector, even when it comes to education, since there are a lot of places that's offering education, and then there are a lot of models that you can give your service online, offline, in person, multiple avenues. So, in your case, my advice would be, I mean, if I understand a little bit more about your business, I can give you some specific guidelines, but focus on quality. Focus on quality and focus on the market size. So, I would say, in your case, having that value tailor made to your audience would be a better strategy to scale your business. And then, once you perfect that, you can move down the ladder. Say, for an example, you're servicing the top cream of the market. That market size is small, so you have to always look at driving value for money. I mean, like giving them that service. So your price is higher, but you have the value that they would buy. So if you once you perfect your offering to that market, you can go to a tier lower, and then look at a bigger market. You perfected your high end and now you move out to the middle segment of the market, and then that's where you get some liberty to experiment more, because the market size is higher. You can experiment more. When it comes to the niche segments, it's very hard to experiment. You have to get it right. Say it's like you running a high end skincare clinic. You have to have top notch service. You're making like good money, but your service and your value, customers really want that high end service and that value. So in your case, you start with that, then you move down the ladder and then try to scale your business. That's where you get okay. You price it at a premium point. You start with the premium, then you go into the more affordable solutions. How you market your product makes a massive difference as well. Rather than saying it's expensive, you market it as a premium. rather than making look it cheap, it's more affordable. So the terms you use in the business makes a huge difference as well overall. So as a strategy, look into that, and then build your business. This advice comes by studying your industry. But if you offer me like more advice, I can really get into, okay, if you're looking at an investor, or if you're looking at opening branches around the country or outside the country, so then your model needs to scale according to that as well. I hope I gave a fair answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Danshka. And yes.
So to be very specific, like your question was decision making fatigue and emotional stability, right? So first of all, I would say like now this pattern is very common. Like it's very obvious for me to hear these feedback. What I realized is if you have many ideas coming into your head and you are feeling okay, like I need to execute that, these things, I would say the thing you're working on, like you don't see the real power, the real impact, the real return it can give it to me, right? Because every day, everybody in this panel would get millions of ideas, but we have the courage to say, as I said in that initial speech, no, not right now. Because I would say I would see a more return, a more long-term growth, a more thing which which I could get from the thing I'm working right now, right? Not that it doesn't work, it's nothing like that. It's that we see this commitment which I'm giving right now will bring me more returns. So that is how we stay away from those noises around us, feedbacks around us. So I would say, first of all, build that confidence that okay, that you see something that others don't see, that this thing which I'm working is something going to be big, right? That is how you say no, or else you cannot do it, right? There are people who are very very smart on how they can convince you, right? Like this is going to be the next thing for the next 10 years, the AI, it's going to like, but you has to be very smart enough to manage both parties. That's number one. Number two, like when it comes to execution, like like you have 2-3 options, right? And you don't know what will be the outcome, right? I would say prioritize in a way, like filter few of those ideas, prioritize in a way where you test out all three, right? You test out all three. Like you prioritize, you test out all three. Because I'll give you an example, because there was a time sometimes back where entrepreneurship education it was not a big thing, right? It was very rare. So there was a question like api first, we didn't have resources, we didn't have any equipment, or sort of thing. Api koita the focus karan, is it YouTube, is it TikTok, is it Facebook, right? 3 decisions you have to make, because we can execute one at a time, right? So we went on YouTube first, and then okay, once we captured the market, we thought, oh, let's spend the rest of the time on other platforms as well, right? So the thing we did was we filtered out the options we had, because there are plenty of options. People can go to LinkedIn, start a Twitter account, Abit suggesting open up another channel with another segment, right? I remember. So many things. So we focused on one thing. The formula is very simple. One thing, focus one thing. When you get a good traction, a good return out of it, then you have the privilege to test out 3 other things. That also one at a time. Right? So you should have, as the founder, as the entrepreneur with theater, you should have that, where should I prioritize first? That nobody can teach you. Right? Your industry, you're the expert, you know it better than anyone. Right? Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustaq. And like that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this lovely event hosted by Dr. Roshan. Before you all go, before we wrap this entirely up, I know you all are waiting to go have some nice tea. We're all Sri Lankans. Understand that this book, you all have been buying books that have been written by foreign authors out of Sri Lanka about how their countries work and how they can thrive in their financial industry. This book, written by Dr. Roshan, and by the way, I am not part of the team. I know Dr. Roshan as a friend, but I'm taking this time to talk about this book because it's helped me a lot. I'm someone, y'all can look at me and take videos of me, I don't care, have made very bad financial decisions. I'm open about it. I've failed in a lot of things. I'm not going to tell my story today because we're going to wrap up. But one day, maybe, when I come to the level all of our lovely panelists are in. This book helps me a lot. Understanding the fundamentals of how wealth management is done. If I were y'all, I would go and stand right there where the books are right after this event is done. Have a look at it. And like our lovely brigade said, starting off poor, it's not your fault. But dying poor, that is your choice. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Roshan, for the honor to host this panel discussion. And thank you very much, lovely panelists, for being here. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good day.